Welcome back to another episode of Barbecue and Bottles, folks, and today we're going to be doing reverse seared tomahawks out on the pellet grill. Then we're going to sear them off on the cast iron griddle top. Then we'll let them rest with some compound butter. This is going to be a remarkable flavor profile. We'll get that rich mahogany color with a beautiful crust and the depth of flavor from the compound butter. So stick with us. So the first step in this recipe is just getting a beautiful cut of beef. A tomahawk steak, it's essentially a ribeye with the bone left in. And so if you don't have a great cut of beef at the start, it's going to be really hard to get an exceptional outcome on the grill. So make sure you're investing in a good cut of beef. Now we had measured these steaks and they're about 2.5 inches thick. And there's just beautiful marbling on these. The next step is just to do a 24-hour dry brine on these guys. So 24 hours ago, we put a generous amount of kosher salt on these steaks, both sides as well. And then we put those back in the fridge for 24 hours. The outcome is an exceptionally well-seasoned steak that's got an even gradient of salt and seasoning all the way throughout, and the surface of the steak is bone dry. So the first step in the reverse sear is just getting your smoker fired up. We're using hickory pellets here. We've got this on the lowest temp setting for the Traeger here. It's 180 Fahrenheit. So now we're gonna get these in on the grill. Now with the tomahawks on, given the size of these, we'll let them go for probably about an hour until we hit an internal temperature of 115 degrees Fahrenheit. Then we're gonna sear them off on the cast iron griddle. All right, we're gonna check in on the steaks again. Temps at 105. The other one's at 100, so time to fire up the griddle. So we're just gonna check on the temp here. We are at 115-ish on that guy, so we are going to get it off. We checked on the other steak, it's about 10 degrees lower, so we're going to let that continue to smoke away here. Alright, we got our steak off of the pellet grill. It's nice and smoked. We've got an internal of 115. So we've got our griddle here. The surface is just ripping hot. This is probably 500 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're gonna put on a high smoke point oil here. This is avocado oil. Now we'll transfer that right into the oil and let this sear. So we're gonna let this sear away for probably 90 seconds just to form a really nice crust on this side. Then we'll flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. All right, let's flip this over and check out the crust. Just look at that, beautiful. So now we'll put it down on that side and do the same thing. Let this go for about 90 seconds. All right, now we'll get this up on its edge and we want to sear off the fat cap. All right, now we want to get the edges here too. Just make sure we're searing the steak all the way around. We're going for an internal temp here of 128 for medium rare. So this is 125. We'll let this go just a little while longer and then we'll take it off the grill. All right, we got our second steak ready to go. Load up a little bit of oil here and get this down. this one's ready to come off the grill. We're gonna take that inside. Make sure we're searing the sides, all the edges, render down that fat cap, make it really nice and soft and supple when you bite into it. Alright, this last guy's ready to come off the grill as well. Let's get this inside. Alright, the lighting wasn't very good inside, so we're doing this outside. Now that the steaks are off the grill, we're just going to put a little bit of compound butter on the top like this. And this compound butter, it's made of garlic, chives, salt, pepper, salted butter. We're just going to let these steaks rest for 10 minutes while this butter melts into the top. So these have been resting for 10 minutes. We've left them untented so that we can preserve the crust and we don't steam these any further. And that 10-minute rest is just gonna let the juices redistribute throughout the steak. Oh, this is wonderful. Look at these huge bones. Give that to somebody, put that on their plate. They'll know they're a carnivore. And now let's cut into this guy and see if we got a medium rare. All right, this is all carved up now, and just look at that. We got a beautiful medium rare, almost edge to edge, wall to wall. There's a little bit of gray on the edge just from the sear on the cast iron griddle, but this is a wonderful medium rare all the way through. So there's just one thing left to do, and that is go in for a taste test. So we're gonna cut off a little piece here with a bit of the fat cap in it, dip it in all of that juice, the garlic butter that rendered into the steak. Oh my God. Wow, that was absolutely wonderful. We've got that salty brine flavor all the way through the steak from the 24-hour dry brine. We've got that smoky hickory flavor profile from the smoke, and the sear, the crust, really, really nice crunch to that. And then of course we have the garlic, the chives, salt, pepper, the compound butter. This is just a really, really wonderful way to do a steak, especially if you've got something thick like these 2.5-inch tomahawks. So if you like this video, give us a like below, consider subscribing, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for tuning in.